Hi, I'm Allie with the Potomac Bead Company, and I'm going to talk to you today about some of the more popular brands of beading thread that are available and why I choose what I choose to work with. So, laying here, I have three of the most popular brands. I have Wildfire, Fireline, and Nymo thread. There's also other threads that are out there, KO thread, some Power Pro, some Spider Wire. There's other options out there, but these tend to be the most three popular that customers are coming in asking for and that we regularly keep stocked. So the difference between, the major difference is that the Nymo kind of stands alone. KO thread would be semi on this line as well. The Nymo thread, when you're talking about thread, it is a non-conditioned thread. It comes in tons of colors, which is really great if you're trying to match something up, and it comes in sizes. This one here is a B. It goes 00 to D, and gets thicker and thicker and thinner and thinner. And it is not a conditioned thread, meaning that you're going to have to take it through a conditioner, usually some sort of a beeswax product that you're going to pull that through. That way it conditions the thread. What the conditioning is going to do is keep the thread from fraying, and it's also going to help it so that it doesn't stretch a little bit. You can see I just opened this bobbin and it's already frayed a little bit at the end, so it does fray rather quickly. I'm not a big fan of Nymo unless I'm doing bead embroidery or something that doesn't have a lot of tension on it. If I have something like a ring or something that's definitely going to have a lot of tension on it, I definitely avoid using the Nymo thread. Nymo does stretch, and even if you condition it, it does stretch and it does fray. I have not had good luck with my Nymo, my original beading projects that I did with Nymo. Most of them, the Nymo has frayed or has come apart to the point that I've had to start over on some of my projects. The big thing that Nymo has going for it is that it comes in tons and tons of different colors. Because it's not conditioned, it doesn't take as much to manufacture. It's a less expensive thread, and it's used a lot in bead embroidery. Again, you're going to use it in bead embroidery because you're not going to have the tension that you're having. You're usually sewing onto something where you're not having that stretch. So that's the Nymo thread. The other two brands that I have here are Wildfire and Fireline. Fireline is a Berkeley brand that Beadsmith tends to be the #1 distributor of. There's also Wildfire that is a Beadalon brand. Both brands are made in the U.S. Berkeley is a company that does a lot of fishing products, and that's why when you see on it here, it has a pound stretch at the bottom. You can see the different poundage stretches and the different sizes that it comes in. Both Wildfire and Fireline are conditioned threads. So they have a condition to them, they have a coating on them. So these threads do have a great tendency to not stretch. I won't say that they don't stretch at all, because I think no matter what you're using, you are going to get a little bit of stretch to it. But these really have a good resistance to stretching and to breaking. The Wildfire and the Fireline are said to be impenetrable, that you can't put a needle through the thread. I know from experience with both of these that this is not true. The thread is made up with a little bit of woven pieces, and even though it's conditioned, every once in a while I do go back through a project and I do get my needle caught, no matter if I'm using the Fireline or the Wildfire. The brand that I generally go with, because it's less expensive than the Fireline, is going with Wildfire Beading. It's also closer to our home base. It's a Philadelphia-based company, and it's a little bit closer to home that we do. The Fireline, or the Wildfire, comes in white, and it comes in black, and it also comes in a green color, which surprisingly matches a ton of beads and masks itself in a lot of your projects when you're not even thinking about it. But generally speaking, Wildfire is going to be the one that I pick up, that I go for. It comes in a couple different sizes. 0.006 and 0.008 inches are the ones that I tend to use the most. Both a 10-pound and a 15 or a 12-pound test, because they have the poundage tests as well. And they're going to be similar to the Power Pro is another fishing company that you can use the line for that as well. So when I'm doing most of my seed bead projects, I'm going to go for my Wildfire thread and use that for almost all of my beading projects. I tend not to use fishing line for a lot of beading projects, because that is going to it dry rots and it also then snaps. We do a lot of repairs in the store where people have used fishing line either for basic beading or even for doing some seed beading projects, that we do a lot of repairs because that fishing line does get dry rotted after a while and just snaps. So Wildfire is my number one choice that I go to, and people have different opinions and will say one thread's better than the other. Some people even really love Nymo thread and they like conditioning it. They really like KO thread, which does come in a bunch of colors as well and is used more for embroidery. So different people have different preferences. A lot of times whatever you start out using is the brand that you like. I say with the exception of Nymo. If you start out using Nymo, usually you're going to switch to one of these brands. Wildfire is number one selling for us, also because it's a little bit less expensive than the Fireline, and I don't really see a big difference between the two as far as quality or that would make the price difference worth it. So again, Wildfire is the one that I go through. It's a Beadalon product, and I like to promote that cording.